People have called you unfocused your whole life. You weren't even trying to be. And if your brain naturally drifts between obsessions, picking something up with full intensity, getting deep into it, and then walking away once it stops being interesting, you've heard some version of it more than once. Scattered. Can't commit. No follow-through. Nobody mentions that Leonardo da Vinci kept 17 unfinished projects at the time of his death. Here's what they actually mean when they call you unfocused. They mean your mind doesn't behave the way a modern career path wants it to. That's a problem for them. It doesn't have to be one for you. There's a name for what your brain does. And it's not a disorder. It's a design. Most of us grew up inside the same advice loop. Pick a thing. Go deep. Be the expert. That advice isn't wrong for everyone. In stable, predictable environments where the rules don't change and the problems stay the same, specialists win. They're faster, more efficient. They know the terrain cold. But here's the problem. Most environments aren't stable anymore. Most real problems don't stay the same. And in those conditions, the ones where the rules keep shifting, something else happens to people who built for range. They win. The people in your life have started reading this as a character flaw. You get obsessed with something, throw yourself in completely, and then somewhere between intermediate and advanced, the obsession just stops. Nobody hurt you, nothing went wrong, it just ends. And they're not entirely wrong about the pattern. It happens. Consistently. What they're wrong about is what it means. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology by Todd Kashdan and Michael Steger found that curiosity-driven brains are wired for exploration over exploitation, calibrated to extract maximum learning from novel environments, then move. It's not commitment failure. It's a specific neural preference for discovery arcs over maintenance loops. The most interesting part of a subject is the part where you don't know yet. Once you know, your brain has already moved toward the next unknown. You're not giving up. You're following a signal most people don't have. Someone at a party asks what you do. You hesitate. You pick one thing to say. They nod. But you already know you just left out 3/4 of what's actually true about how you spend your time. That pause is real, and it costs you in a world that categorizes people by job title. Having 5 active interests across 3 different fields makes you harder to place. But think about what the pause actually is. A man once told me he'd spent 20 years in rooms full of specialists and always felt wrong for not being able to answer that question cleanly. Then he got put on a team tasked with solving a problem that crossed 4 industries. He was the only person in the room who'd lived in more than one of them. He said, "I was finally in the right room." David Epstein, in his 2019 book Range, found that generalists consistently underperform in narrow identity framing contexts, job interviews, cocktail parties, LinkedIn bios, and consistently outperform in ambiguous, high-stakes, fast-changing environments. The thing that makes you hard to introduce at parties is exactly what makes you effective in rooms that actually matter. You're in a meeting or a conversation, and you link 2 things nobody linked before. The room goes quiet. You still don't know if they think it's interesting or if you've just confused everyone. And they're not wrong to pause. The connection doesn't fit the existing framework. Holding 2 completely different domains in your head simultaneously is cognitively expensive when you only live in one. Psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman has spent years studying what he calls the associative horizon, the conceptual width a mind can hold at once. Most people have a narrow horizon. They connect ideas within a domain. Polymaths connect ideas across domains. And Kaufman's research finds that genuine innovation almost never happens inside a field. It happens at the intersection of fields. Your brain lives there by default. You did the work. You got good. And then something happened that shouldn't have. The thing you worked to achieve stopped mattering to you. People around you think you're throwing it away. Self-sabotage. Lack of discipline. What's actually happening is self-determination theory in real time. Research by Daisy and Ryan, first published in 1985, and replicated across 4 decades, found that intrinsic motivation runs on 2 signals: novelty and the experience of growing competence. The moment mastery arrives, both signals drop simultaneously. Your brain isn't broken. It's following its own honest signal. The challenge is gone. The interest goes with it. But sit with this before we continue. Is your brain genuinely built for range? Or are you using variety to avoid the discomfort of staying long enough to fail at something seriously? Both look identical from the outside. Both involve moving between things. The difference is whether you're running toward what's interesting or running away from what's hard. Only you know which one is operating right now. Someone well-meaning, a mentor, a manager, maybe someone you respected, told you to niche down. Pick a lane. Go deep. You tried. And something happened that shouldn't have happened. You got worse. Not just unmotivated. The thinking got narrower. The output got duller. Whatever made you good at anything started to disappear. Emily Wapnick, who has spent years studying people she calls multi-potentialites, found that forcing convergence on range-wired brains doesn't create depth, it creates stagnation. Your output is a function of your entire network of interests. Remove the other nodes, and you don't strengthen the remaining one. You isolate it. Niche down is advice designed for a specific kind of brain. It was never designed for yours. If you're a man, you know this pressure with specific weight attached to it. There's a version of masculinity built around being the expert, the one who knows one thing completely, who gets called in for one function. Range doesn't fit that frame. It looks like you never committed. Your breadth reads as lack of ambition to people whose ambition was always vertical. Yours was always horizontal. That's a different architecture, not a smaller one. If this is the first time someone explained why your brain moves this way, there's more. Follow for the psychology of how different minds actually work. Every system that changed anything was built by someone who refused to stay in one lane long enough to stop seeing the others. You don't need to fix the way your brain moves. You need the right terrain. Which sign hit closest: losing interest after you finally master something, or not being able to explain what you do without pausing? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who's been told to focus their whole life, send this to them. Sometimes just having it explained changes everything.